there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittney Bundles and welcome to our Sunday Chit Chat Q&A video. If you are new to this channel, every Sunday I read through any questions that I received via email, DM, comments, text messages. I choose one topic to go over and elaborate on. So if you are interested, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Please make sure that you are subscribed and let's get right into the video. So what I want to talk about today is I want to go over an email. The email is in my phone. I didn't print it out, so I'm just going to pretty much summarize the email. So I received an email from one of my subscribers. So thank you so much for sending the email. But she was explaining how she works with a hair company, a vendor. She's been in business for about 3 years, but it's been on and off. So she took a break, during her business and, picked it back up. Now she is working on her business, wanting to make it go as far as it can. She's putting her time into it. She's investing more money into it. And she found a vendor. The vendor she's working with, she's been working with this vendor for about 1.5 years. And she said that there was one day where she wanted to order. And when she was placing her bulk order, she wanted to make sure that, there were no hiccups. And the vendor got upset. The vendor was kind of like, if you don't trust me, maybe you shouldn't do business with me. I said what I said pretty much. I mean, they didn't say it in those words, obviously, but it was similar to that. Pretty much, the vendor was getting upset that she was questioning the information that the vendor was relaying to her. And so she pretty much just sum up the email. She wanted my opinion as to if I think she should just cut out the vendor or if I think she should keep working with the vendor. And so I'm going to give you my advice. Again, this is just my advice. This is not, written in stone. You definitely do whatever works best for your business, whatever you feel in your heart. But this is my opinion. So I don't know if you all have been following me for a while, but if you have, I've made a few videos about my nail experiences. And the reason that I'm bringing up my nail experiences is because there's similar situations. I have a nail technician that I have gone to for years. Sometimes we get into little, disagreements, and it's easy to say, should I just stop working with this nail tech? And a lot of people will say, yeah, just find someone else. But when you have a relationship with someone, when you find someone that straight up and down with you, has good customer service, has good quality hair or good quality in their work, it's not so easy to just replace them, if that makes sense. So especially if you're in business, finding a vendor is not easy to do. You can find anyone to buy hair from. That's easy. But it's really hard to find a vendor that is going to keep their word, a vendor that you can stay in touch with. And so some vendors, they go out of business. Some vendors are very responsive and then some vendors aren't. Some vendors charge you different prices. So I'm ordering, 20 bundles of 18-inch Brazilian body wave, and I pay this one day, and then I place another order the exact same. A week later, the price is dramatically different. Say you find a vendor that has good quality hair, and you're really in love with the hair, and then this vendor likes to play games. So they like to send, they send you quality hair to kind of get you hooked and to get you working with their business. But when you start receiving more hair, you notice that the quality has changed. And so in order to protect your brand, you have to say, hey, this quality, it's not. I'm not saying that you have to be mean and nasty, sometimes things do happen. You can still have a good vendor that will make a mistake. We're all people, we're in business. So no matter what industry you're in, whether it's hair, lashes, clothing, any business that you're in, there more than likely will be mistakes, because we're people. No one's perfect. And so it's very important to, just look over your business, inspect the hair that you're receiving, even if you have a good vendor, even if you have a good relationship. But I'm saying all this to say that it can be hard to find the right vendor to work with. And not only could it be hard, but it could also be expensive to find the right vendor that you want to work with. Because like I said, it's much more than just finding someone that can send you hair. It's much more than just finding someone that will reply back to your emails, but it's someone that really has the overall package, someone that you feel comfortable with, someone that you can actually work with, because you are going to be working together. It's going to be a business. And so I completely understood where she was coming from. I'm not the person to just say quickly get rid of your vendor. I'm just not that person. I'm the person to say, look at the overall picture and weigh your options. You know what I mean? And if you are at the point where you're thinking of possibly going to another vendor or stopping work with that vendor that you currently have, you want to make sure that you're being smart about it. So being smart about it, not cussing out your vendor, because you still need your vendor, especially if you're still in business. You know, you can get an order today and your customers really don't care what's going on the back end. They don't care if you're mad at your vendor. They don't care if your vendor says something smart via email or text. They don't care about that. They just care about receiving the hair that they paid for. And sometimes, I don't want to say you take things on the chin. I'm not saying, you know, be disrespected or stay in that, you know, circumstance or anything like that. But I'm saying that sometimes if you are feeling like you're being disrespected, you may still have to do business with that vendor until you find someone else. Or the other option is stop your business until you find someone else. And a lot of us can't afford to just quit working or to stop our business until we find someone else. You still have to keep working in the meantime. You still have to keep working through that issue. And so it's just like if you have a 9-to-5 job. It's just like if you go into work. If your manager says something that you don't like or that you feel is disrespectful, because I know when I was working, a lot of times stuff like that would happen. My coworkers would say some things that were disrespectful some days. Sometimes my manager would say some things that I would think was out of line. And I didn't just quit on the spot. You know, I had to figure out a way to address it, but still keep my job. And so it's kind of the same scenario when you are your own, you know, boss, when you are working from home, when you are working for your business. I don't know if any of you, I'm sure you're familiar with the saying, it's cheaper to keep her. And it's kind of like that in business too. It's definitely cheaper to keep the vendor that you're working with. It's cheaper to keep the relationship that you currently have. It's cheaper to, you know, work it out. It is, but the cheapest option is not always the best. So my advice would be, if you really feel like it's something that you can't get past, if you really feel like you cannot go to your vendor and say, you know what, I really love doing business with you. The reason I'm asking these questions is because I had an incident this day, I had an incident this time. I want to make sure that everything is going to be as stated. I want to make sure that I'm setting the right expectations so that I get, you know, orders again, and so that I can in return give you orders again. I'm just asking that you be patient with me. I'm asking that you be respectful to me, and I'm asking that we continue to build our relationship. If you can't go to your vendor and say something like that, if you really feel like it's time to part ways, then I would say follow your gut, follow what you feel, because ultimately, you know, a lot of times when you don't follow your instincts, you know, bad things happen. So definitely follow, you know, what you feel. But I would say to be slow to wanting to just cut people off. You know, cutting people off is like a mentality that we have in our day-to-day life. You know, a lot of people, I don't want to say I don't want to say a lot of people, but a lot of people do have that mentality. You know, if someone crosses me, if someone's disrespectful, if someone gives me the side eye, I'm just cutting them off. And although I do agree to an extent, you know, there are some people that shouldn't be in your life, and there are some people that should be, you know, cut off. But a lot of times the things that we go through can be worked through. And being a business owner, you are going to have to learn to, or not even learn, if you already know, you're going to have to start expressing yourself. You're going to have to communicate through your issues, not just with your vendors, but also with your customers, not just with your customers, but also with people that you're working with. So different collaborations, but you are going to have to be vocal. And, you know, that was something that was a little challenging for me to do, because I don't want to say I was shy, but I was just reserved. You know, I wasn't really outspoken before I started my business. But I learned later on that that's something that you are going to have to do. You are going to have to stand up for yourself, stand up for your business. And if it's someone that you just absolutely cannot work with, before you just cut them off, you know, my opinion would be to start looking for different vendors. You know, start testing different hair, start, you know, conversing with different vendors, seeing how they reply. You know, time frame is, see how they work with you, see what they're willing to do, see how their business ethic and morale is. You know, make sure that everything just works great for your business, because ultimately it all falls back on you. Like I said, the customer is not really, they don't care what's going on behind the scenes. They just want to make sure that they're getting good quality, you know, service and a good quality product, which they should. So I would say that would be my advice. You know, just make sure if it's someone that you've been working with for years, obviously there's some history there, you know, and I would try to figure out what I could do to fix the relationship. If, like I said, if it's past the point of no return, before you just go ahead and cut them off, I know it takes a lot of restraint, but you have to put your business first. You know, think about your business, think about your customers, and think about the fact that if you cut them off right now with no other vendor, you're at a standstill. So you're hurting yourself. You may feel good releasing and, you know, getting back with a vendor and telling them how you feel, but at the end of the day, you know, you're the one that's not able to fulfill orders. So I would say, you know what, okay, I'm planning on leaving this vendor. So while I'm planning on it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start sampling other hair. I'm going to go ahead and start reaching out to other companies. I'm going to go ahead and start, you know, working with different vendors to see how their service is, so that if it comes to another point where I do have to split ties with this vendor, I'm still able to run my business. You want to make sure that you're doing that. So having a backup plan is always smart in any type of business. I really hope this video helped. That's just my opinion. You know, you're free to disagree. You're free to take the advice, you know, but that's my opinion. I found that it's very easy to just cut people off, period, you know, but in business, sometimes you need people. You need your vendor. You need your vendor to fulfill orders. And no, you don't have to put up with disrespect just to make sure that your business is running. But I'm saying that you have to figure out, sometimes, you know, it's best to figure out alternative routes besides just completely cutting communication cold turkey. And a lot of times when you are working with your vendors via email or text, a lot of things can be misconstrued because you're not really talking to anyone. You're not face to face. You're not even over the phone. So you really can't even hear the, their tone. You can't really even tell if they're upset, if they're meaning to say it like that. So sometimes we can take different text messages and different emails and we can read them in a way that they're not even intended. So your vendor may have not even, you know, meant to say anything disrespectful. They may have not even meant to be rude. And a lot of times the vendors are not from the US. A lot of times the vendors may have a different dialogue in speaking. Even if I speak with customers that are not from the US, sometimes the way that they send an email is different from the way that I send an email. So I would just, you know, putting myself in your vendor's shoes, I would just hate for someone to think that I'm being rude when I'm really not, you know. And so I would just, if it was me, I would just try to get clarification and try to see if I can mend the relationship and move forward. So if you have any other questions, any comments, feel free to leave them down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.